Welcome back to my first new unusual format of Discover Me TV. And gonna start a temporary new direction for it, starting with, nope, Science Mom.
Right.
My friend Jenny. We used to live in Pennsylvania together, and now we're both at new places. And she has a really wonderful YouTube channel called Science Mom. And how long have you been doing that?
Just over 3 years.
Yay. Okay. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So has it been kind of, I mean, was it a sort of gradual rise?
Very, very gradual until last week.
Amazing. So tell us, well, here, let me just say a little bit more maybe about what I'm trying to do now, and we'll explain why it's so perfect that we have Jenny, Science Mom, on. So I guess now in our new age of social distancing, I figured I shouldn't even have one person into my house to do an interview. So I'm figuring out a way to make sure that I do interviewing virtually. And the beauty of Science Mom is that you just recently, right, you started a new segment called QUARANTIME, right?
Yes, we did.
And that obviously was far more popular than you maybe even anticipated.
Yeah. So the original post that I did about quarantine, I posted it the weekend that more than 30 states suddenly announced school closures. And so there was, of course, huge interest in what are we going to do? And there's this 2-hour live stream with Math Dad and Science Mom every morning. And so it got shared more than 100,000 times. And overnight, my follower count on all platforms increased dramatically. And we've had between 2,000 and 4,000 people that will come and watch each day this week. And it's really been amazing, just the sense of community and the, you know, all the expressions we've had from parents with gratitude that their kids are enjoying the live stream, that they're learning, has really been rewarding.
Oh, I love that. Well, I think it's such an amazing silver lining. Let's put it that way. I mean, obviously you're not celebrating the reason why you're suddenly getting to connect with more people, but what an important, wonderful thing that you are.
It's one of the most, I mean, it's been a lot of work getting ready for a 2-hour live stream each day, making a handout that goes with it. I think Serge and I have put in more hours this last week than we have in a long time. It's been one of the most rewarding and meaningful things we've ever done, because so many parents are it's really hard to work from home and to be expected to homeschool your kids from home at the same time. That's really difficult.
Right. And I mean, because like you said, I mean, Matt and I have generally, as writers and producers of things, like generally, Matt and I have been, ever since we've lived in California, we've been working from home. So this hasn't been as much of a shock that way for us. But then to add our kids coming home, weirdly, I think, well, we're also we were in the week before spring break, so we have not tried to jump into much, although our kids are so endlessly creative that there's already been a game show and a board game being created. And our son is like, our 8-year-old has been like, let's play Scrabble, that he likes to call Scramble. And his siblings are like, no, it's not. And I'm like, just let him call it Scramble. But he's like, I mean, without us doing anything formally, they've just sort of found ways to learn. I think
that is great. My kids, without us like trying to push, let's do other things, they would just be like looking at screens the whole entire day. So
no, let me not say that. My kids are still like hours and hours and hours on screens, but with bursts of creativity. That seems pretty good for what would have been the week before spring break. And we're going into, so Matt and I are kind of like, we're not trying anything yet, but we are amazed by, oh my gosh, people are so noble. They're really trying hard to do the right thing for themselves and their kids. I'm so impressed and amazed, actually.
There are a lot of creators that are doing some really amazing things. Like Mo Willems is doing a doodle hour every single day. Every day.
My niece and nephew, my sister's kids were doing that because they're such little artists too, and I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. And so I think that, I don't know, I think we are kind of shifting a paradigm of thinking there's only one way to do things, and that's a good thing. So tell me maybe originally though, how before it became this important in this context to do Science Mom, tell me how Science Mom came about maybe.
It started a little bit by accident when my son was in second grade, my oldest, he's in 8th grade now. I was volunteering in his class once a week, and my name was Andrew's mom because my son's name was Andrew. So that was like my new identity. And then his teacher told me that she had to drop a lot of their science activities because of the new testing requirements. And I thought that was just a little bit heartbreaking for these kids. And so I said, well, I have a background in science. Can I come in once a week? If you give me 15 minutes, I'll do a real exciting science demonstration for the class so that they get some more of that science exposure to, cool, engaging activities that are hands-on. And she said yes. And the class started to call me Science Mom because I was bringing science in, and it stuck. And after 3 years of going to my kids' school, once, one day a week, I would have my science outreach day, and I would do from opening bell to closing bell demonstrations back to back. And I would see all the classes in this little elementary school. And I loved it. And I had this moment going to my other job, which was doing graduate student advising at a college, where I was like, you know what? I really want to switch these two. I want to make this outreach hobby my job, and I want to share this with more kids. And so I started the YouTube channel in 2016. And as you mentioned at the beginning, I mean, it's hard nowadays to start an online platform or presence. And for a lot of people, it really is like there's that 2 to 3 year investment where it's just creeping along. And then finally, it's like you've pushed hard enough that now the ball starts to roll on its own. But at first, you really feel like it doesn't move unless you push.
Right. Yes. Well, I'm still in that stage of like, just recently went from 127 to 128 subscribers. Not that I'm trying to belittle those, because I am very appreciative of each and one of, I remember hearing another YouTuber say, just remember that every single one of those, they're not a number. That's a person. That is a person who's actually investing in watching you and getting something from you. And if they ever comment, like, that's a person.
Is meaningful. And I'm part of a little Slack channel of educational YouTubers. And it's funny because one of them posted that a really big channel that you might recognize had complained that one of their COVID-19 videos only had 4.2 million views when it came out. Therefore, YouTube was suppressing like that informative video. And then everyone else in that chat, because we're all much smaller channels, was like, imagine complaining about having only 4 million views. But
it's another plane of existence on YouTube, I would say.
But the fact is, I mean, as an artist, as a creator, no matter what you do, it's like there's this ladder of success. There will always be people above you, and there will always be people below you. And I think the trick is to look at the audience you do have, and like you said, like appreciate the connections that you do have, because those are meaningful. But it's hard, especially if your livelihood depends on making it up a few rungs.
Sure.
It's really hard not to get caught up in that comparing game and looking at someone else with a larger platform being like, well, how come it's taking me longer? That's a tough thing.
Well, that's really significant. And I appreciate you saying that because, mostly my channel has been in my little world of entertainment and actors and writers, and that you now are both, I love that you're both in the science world and the academia world, and now you're a creator, you're also sort of in that world of that us as actors have been in for our whole lives, of that like needing to find ways of being discovered, of having people find you, of having people know about you. And so I think that you have a lot to impart to people who aren't necessarily trying to learn about science as much as trying to learn the art of being discovered as well, which I guess is all related.
Yeah.
The art of discovery, if you will, is kind of playing a part in a lot of areas of your life, right? So I think, and I think your last week or two has proven a certain thing, which is that a lot of the way you get discovered is just by, I guess, pinpointing a really clear need, right? And a really clear desire for people to connect. And
I think it's timing too, like
momentum.
Right place in the right time. That makes a big difference. And I can't tell you how many times in the last 3 years where I've made a video or finished a little educational series of videos, and I've kind of in the back of my mind, there's this little bubble of hope, like, this is going to be it. This is going to be the one. Like, is the tipping point where now the ball's really going to be rolling.
Right.
And every single time it's been like, nope, nope, nope. And then this last time when it happened, it was a little overwhelming, honestly. My Facebook page went from 700 followers to 74,000 in 4 days. And that was, so there was sort of this practical aspect of really wanting, like, because I've always been very engaged. Anyone who messaged me, I would message them back. And all of a sudden that became impossible, where it was like, it's going to, you know, even with someone I'm paying part-time to help me go through and answer these emails, like it's going to take us a week to get through. And so and then I've also recognized that it's not enough to just have that tipping point moment and have more exposure. It's all about where you are on that ladder and how you're connecting with your audience. Because even though that Facebook post that I did about quarantine got shared, you know, 100,000 times plus, you know, if you think 100,000 people, that's huge. But how many are showing up? I'd say we have about 2,000 people who really appreciate and are there most of the time.
Wow.
But that's a big drop down, right? Like 100,000 to 2,000. And there's always, you know, it's that pyramid of like, you know, the exposure, and then the people who like what you do, and then the people who like it enough to come back again. And kind of being aware that there's a pyramid, that helps. I think that helps avoid disappointment when something big like this happens, because I think it would be natural for, if you weren't aware of that pyramid, to be like, well, how come I don't have 100,000 followers and 100,000 viewers? And if you understand the way that works, that sort of helps alleviate some of that.
Yeah. I mean, because we all do that with other people's channels or posts or anything we watch. And, you know, we all have our sort of level of initial sort of interest, and then how much we're going to engage from there and engage from there. And, you know, if you start watching a show on Netflix, how far do you get? How many? True. So I guess we all do that. But it can be so personally, it's like such a personal sort of milestone, right? But then you have to kind of like go, okay, I can't take too personally the ones that didn't go as far up the pyramid with me.
It's true. And I think with any creative art that you do, there's going to be, you know, if you showed it to 100 people, there would be people in that group who would connect with you. Like they're your resonant audience who are, you know, like their jam is your jam. Like they totally get you. And then there's sort of like
your tribe.
Yes. And then there's this neutral group that, you know, with the conditions being right, you know, they like you too. But if the conditions aren't right, you know, they're kind of lukewarm. And then no matter what you're making, there's always going to be some subset that are repelled by what you're doing. And I think especially as you start going up higher with that ladder and you get more exposure, it's important to remember that if you get big enough, you're going to get opposite feedback on everything you do, no matter what. And what you got to remember is to try and identify that resonant audience, because really, like, that's who you're going to have the most meaningful connections with.
Right. And honestly, that whole idea of like, if everyone's sort of lukewarm about you, that's not what you're after anyway. You want true connections. And in order to probably find your way to enough true connections, you're going to have the people, I love that you said, that are literally repelled by you. I can't picture like the profile of a human who is repelled by Jenny. It must exist. It makes no sense to me. But it's almost good, because if people aren't passionate one way or another about you, then you're kind of stuck in that in-between place that may not be affecting people as dramatically anyway.
Yeah.
And I think when you're now talking about something, not just neat science experiments that could be really meaningful and great to parents and teachers and kids, but now you're talking about something that people have a polarizing effect about, like, am I safe? Am I doing the right thing in this scenario, right? Like now we're talking about things where people can start to say, like, you're not distancing enough, you're not doing this, or I'm doing this, and this is the right way to do it. And anything from, I guess, cavalier to like super paranoid we've got right now. And so if you touch on someone's button about whether they're doing the right thing in this particular area, I guess that can have a big, I don't know, a response.
And in particular with the quarantine show that we have, it's definitely, you know, we're gearing it towards 7 to 12-year-olds, but it's a little bit higher grade level vocabulary and things than what they would get typically.
Oh, cool.
But that's just like, that's what we like. And then I've realized, as we've been soliciting feedback after our first week, that the people who are most passionate, where I can tell that they're our resident audience, they really appreciate that too. We're also getting a lot of feedback from people saying, make it shorter, make it easier, make it simpler.
Right.
But I can recognize that, you know what, the people who really love this and appreciate it and are going to watch every single day, they like what we like. They like treating kids as being small people, but not stupid people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's why I think before we started recording, I said the beauty of you guys, which is not true of many things in the world, is that I watched my kids, including my 15-year-old, say that he appreciated, and this is like a friggin', genius 15-year-old who's doing stuff I don't understand. And he was like diving into something you guys did. So the beauty I think that you guys are able to do is make things like clear and simple enough that somebody can kind of dive in, but then not stop there and allow it to be something meaningful enough to somebody who then wants a challenge that goes beyond that initial sort of dive in. And that is huge to me because, yeah, the idea of those of us who have multi-aged kids, and I think he so appreciated somebody who was able to just like, and are, also interest his 8-year-old brother, but like keep his interest too. So that's really awesome to me. And I also agree that we're always kind of a family that talks to them as whole human beings, not always using, like, everyone doesn't have the exact same vocabulary and the exact same knowledge, but we assume that they're all very deep thinking humans ought to be treated as such, right? So I love that. And that's one of the things I would say about you. And is that, here's one of my plugs for Jenny as a human and as science mom, to check her out, which is that when I was starting to get nervous and starting to hear more stuff and going, quite honestly, from me being kind of cavalier and being like, this seems like an overreaction to this thing that I have for, a couple of weeks ago, probably that was me. Maybe it seems like it should have been longer ago, but it's probably only like 2-3 weeks ago. I was like, what is this? I don't know. It doesn't seem like a big deal. And then I watched her video on what a coronavirus is. And like, it was very calming and caring and thoughtful and put me at ease while still making me feel like it was giving me knowledge. And then what's beautiful about you, this is something I love about you, and I can't say about a lot of other adult humans in the world, is that you then evolved what you said. The next video I watched, you said, now I just want to put a caveat, like my last video was with my current understanding of what was happening. I do not want to make it seem like I was downplaying this.
Yeah, or trivializing it, yeah.
Right. But a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people, sadly, in leadership positions can't say, edit to what I said before. That's true of where I was, and I was doing my best with what information I have, but now with new information, here's some new information, and here's some new thoughts I have. And if we could all do that as adults for our kids and for each other, I think we would be so smart to do that. Just because, like, that was very comforting to me to be like, okay, I've got a person who also is not alarmist, not trying to get me to freak out, but just trying to say, like, I've evolved in what I now understand, and here's what I got for you today. And so in that way, I say to anyone watching this, any of the viewers of Discover Me TV and anyone who's discovering us here today, is that find yourself, specifically, I can't still do this, science mom. But yeah, no, go to her for when you need thoughtful, evolving information, and to get, I love that you care to be comforting, but not cavalier.
Yeah.
I put out something that said, prepared, not panicked. What was, I think you had a nice little clear cut thing.
Right. Yeah, that we should be concerned, but not cavalier or panicked. And then we should be prepared, not panicked. There's sort of this balance between being aware of what's going on, but not being alarmed. And it can be a tricky balance to find, especially when so many dramatic things are happening in relation to COVID-19. But it really is so helpful to everybody if we can strike that middle ground.
Right. And I'm finding, and I really am finding some hope in how a lot of people are responding, though, and how a lot of people are finding the best they can, sort of silver linings, and finding ways to sort of see the good moments with their families, with their friends. And like, look, we're still like, and we're in a way like, she's in Nevada, I'm in California, and we're having a conversation that we haven't had in years since.
Yeah.
since we both lived in Pennsylvania, right? Now, this is possible. I mean, I would rather hug you too, but under the circumstances, it's pretty good.
It is. It is. You know, we often talk about technology isolating us and like social media being a bad thing. But I have to say, during this last week, I've been so grateful for the connections that we have through social media and technology, because really only having physical contact with my immediate family,
Right.
it really helps to feel like there are other people out there.
Absolutely.
And
I agree. And I mean, if this happened when we were kids, I think that would have been much more challenging.
yeah,
I mean,
for
I
sure.
probably everyone on the same street would be I don't know, wouldn't be infecting each other a little bit worse. Now we go on walks and I cross the street if I need to, or wave to somebody and try my best. I mean, I'm trying to a little bit breathe air, but not too close to anyone else's air. And but this is very useful. And I think it is that idea. My husband and his brother wrote this film Face to Face that was on Netflix for 2 years, just went off sadly in January, and maybe it will find a home again because it's so significant. It was literally all about, the entire film was like this, was a conversation. Yeah. And I think, yeah, I mean, and as they talked about it in any of the marketing materials, it talks about how, like, when Matt was researching it, I mean, he was just finding that, especially for teenagers, but this is true of all of us now, I think, it's both sort of, it can be like the most isolating thing and also our greatest source of connection. So it's interesting how that works. And I just think it's just being exaggerated and sort of highlighted now in this interesting time that I think is going to prove to be a very important time for us all to kind of figure this out, I think.
For sure.
And it's a weird thing because we both have access to kind of anyone on earth, and yet only physical contact with our very closest families. So it's sort of like living in like the future and the past at the same time.
It is.
So what an odd time, but a very kind of interesting, sweet time that hopefully turns to some very good things. Yay! Oh my gosh, I love talking to you. Maybe we'll have to do I don't want to make it go so long, but so yay, thank you. Thank you, Jenny, to Science Mom. And also, yeah, so tune in, especially, right, if you have kids, tune in to QUARANTIME, and it's Monday through Friday. What time?
8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific, or 11 to 1 Eastern. So Monday through Friday, we've got 2 hours of math, science, and a silly song that Serge sings almost every time that's becoming like a cult favorite. It's pretty funny.
Amazing. So that's her husband, Serge, who's also known as Math Dad.
Math Dad. Yeah.
And we have some terrific videos that are Science Mom and Math Dad too for you to check out that my family has gotten a big kick out of. So thank you. So maybe sometime we'll do a double date. We'll bring on Matt and me and Serge and you.
Oh, that'd be great.
Math Dad, Science Mom, and like the little filmmaking duo over here, Jordan and Matt Toronto. We'll do that sometime too.
That would be awesome.
I love this. Thank you so much. I just love the I don't know, the hope that you give me, the thoughtful responses that you have to our situation, and also just the great insight you have for the interesting ways of being discovered when you least expect it. Again.
Thank you.
So thank you to everybody watching Discover Me TV. I am Jordan Toronto. This is Jenny Ballif and Science Mom, and I pointed the right way.
You did. Sure, we should give each other 5 virtually.
Oh yeah. Now I literally did it wrong again. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna try one more time. 1, 2, 3. So fun. High five. Thank you for watching Discover Me TV. I am Jordan Toronto, and I'm going to continue bringing you what I think will be called viral stories. We'll try to spread a new virus of goodness and hope and thoughtful living. And starting today with Science Mom. So check out Science Mom on YouTube. Check out Science Mom on YouTube, and check out Jordan Toronto on Discover Me TV. And we will bring you more to come in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Jenny.
You're welcome.
I guess I'm going to end this way.